Welcome, Ellen.
Thank you.
As a successful businesswoman, you have significant insight into how senior decision makers think. What would be your advice to those decision makers when it comes to trans inclusion in the workplace?
Well, I think it's the key thing in life is that we all treat each other like human beings. And as I said in my speech before, I think it's very important for people to be themselves, to be authentic. And I think being a transgender woman, I showed to the Netherlands, to the people who know me, that by becoming my true self, I flourished as a person. I grew as a person. And also my organization grew as a person. So I want to tell to all the leaders of organizations to give the people the room to be authentic. I think that's the most important thing. But also don't emphasize too much on the fact that somebody is a trans woman, but emphasize more on what somebody does for the company, what he or she contributes to the company. Because in my opinion, I think that's one of the key issues in polarization nowadays, is that we talk too much about the boxes sometimes in the corporate sector. Mm-hmm. And I think that's also the problem sometimes with cisgenders who can difficultly cope with these discussions. And I think key in that is that we put more emphasis again on the contributes that we make and less on the boxes that we are. So it is important for everybody to feel safe and to have the room to be who they want to be. But then again, I think we should emphasize again on what we do in life, because I think that's really important. And that way I showed how I could be more successful with 6 boxes in life instead of 7, okay. 7 sides which I had. And I think I'm a living and walking example of that.
How about to trans employees? What would your advice be to them?
Yeah, I think it is, as I said before, when I went to my clients, to my partners, to my colleagues, I think it's very important to be transparent about your feelings, to be clear about your feelings, because as a trans person, you've gone through a very long and vast process in your mind to accept what you are and where you come from. And you have to accept that the other party, the receiving party, isn't aware of the movie that took part in your head. So you have to make sure, as a director of your own movie, the role that you're playing in your own life, in your movie, you have to make sure that the receiving party, so your colleagues, your boss, the whole company, everybody understands where you're coming from and what moves you to be that person. And I think that's my main advice to all transgender individuals in general, is make sure that everybody follows where you're coming from. I've never lost anyone in my life going into transition. I've never faced any discrimination. I think part of that is really that I stayed authentic. I showed people that I'm not a different person, that I'm the same person, but who's happier, more successful, and is flourishing in life. And I took people through on a vulnerable journey with me and sharing my message and knowledge with them. And I think that way you get followers instead of losing people. And that's what I want to share to all trans people.
Some great advice. Ellen Jansen, thank you very much.
You're welcome.